Donald Trump sat in a hard plastic chair, waiting in the long line at the pension fund office. The sound of rustling newspapers filled the air, while murmurs of frustration over bureaucracy echoed around him. A grandmother in a leopard print coat was telling her neighbor how much better things used to be. Trump sighed. Colonel Zaitsev had been calling him for 3 days, offering to help with the pension certificate. "We can write that you were a KGB agent, or we can write that you weren't. Which would be more convenient for you?" Zaitsev asked, his tone obsequious. "Can we write that I was, but I didn't know it?" Trump suggested. "That's a classic," Zaitsev responded with approval. "But I am afraid it won't affect my length of service." And that was the main problem. Donald had been in politics for the last 10 years, but what kind of salary does politics pay? Nothing. Just expenses. He glanced longingly at the pension form. "Confirm your work experience. If you haven't worked in the last 10 years, indicate your source of income." He sighed and wrote sources of income unknown. Ask Congress. Melania was reading a magazine titled How to Marry a Billionaire If He's in Debt, and occasionally looked up. Outside, a beggar in a dirty raincoat approached and asked for a couple of dollars. "Do you see him?" Trump asked, turning to his wife. "He's $1 billion richer than me." "Then why is he begging for money?" Melania asked, confused. "Because he doesn't have $1 billion in debt, but I do." The beggar, who had overheard the conversation, nodded in understanding and moved closer. "Brother, you're in the right company. I don't have any debts either. Maybe you've got some spare change." Trump thought for a moment. Maybe it was time to change professions. "Tell me, how much money did you have this morning?" Trump asked. "Not a penny," the beggar replied. "So, if I give you $5, does that mean your capital growth is 5 divided by 0? Trump mused. "Well, probably." The beggar shrugged. "But that's infinity." Trump marveled. "And if you spend all your capital every day, your capital growth would be infinitely high." "What a discovery," the beggar said, feeling like a real financial genius for the first time. Trump now understood exactly what he needed to do. He dialed Colonel Zaitsev's number and said confidently, "Get me a certificate saying I was an agent. And make it so secret that even I didn't know about it. Also, write that I received income every day with a capital growth of 1,000%. "Interesting," Zaitsev muttered. "And add that in Moscow, there are records showing that my savings as a super-secret agent make up half of Russia's GDP. The only way to repay this debt is by transferring Russian territory to me, up to the level of igneous rocks. And in some places, all the way to the Pacific territories of Vanuatu. I'll check the legal nuances," Zaitsev replied after a pause. Trump nodded contentedly. A pension was nice, but real estate was better. Now there is one problem left: to find out where Vanuatu is.